very similar, which hopefully I can use to my advantage later on to change options and stuff with different subs, is what I'm thinking. The biggest thing is because it's also small, it's okay, because it's not going to have as many options in it. In fact, of the options that we have in place, it's not going to have the game difficulty options. It'll still have the volume options, obviously, but not the game options. For example, a visual tab, it probably won't have a change resolution and little stuff like that. So, excuse me, wow. So that's pretty much what we're going to work on here next. So I'm quickly just going to go ahead and add game main menu overlay. There. So we'll go ahead and add this basically real quick. I'm also going to go ahead and I said I wanted to move this a bit over, and I do. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that now. We're not going to move the labels or the elements. We're just going to kind of gently nudge, since it's so long, our exit game from its exposition to something more hopefully relevant. I think 280 will work just fine, where we don't have to mess with any of this other stuff. So basically what we have here is pgm, what is options, oops, pgm options labels, and of course the elements will go here as well. This is still on my whiteboard, pretty much where we left off. I just got pretty tired, so I'm going to go ahead and get this done. I'm going to go ahead and start coding this, put it all together in Photoshop, just get right down to it. Like I said, this is going to be a lot like our other options, so you're actually going to see me refer to the game options, if I can freaking find it. Right here. Quite a bit, because it's going to be using a lot of stuff, and you'll also probably see me start throwing a lot of the options changings, especially on the sound stuff, into their own subs, and like I said, this will actually allow me to go ahead and use it on both options menus pretty nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I want to take some time to explain a little about what you're going to be seeing here. This is definitely one of the parts that really had me bummed, that these first few days and everything that I recorded of me programming for the video encoder I used and everything didn't come out exactly the way I would have wanted for Premiere. Originally, as you remember, these are supposed to be sped up, much like you see my WoW blogs, but actually sped up to double speed, maybe faster. And I really wanted to cover this code so you could really see it, because the basic functionality aside, that isn't a big deal. The stuff that you're going to be seeing here in this first little bit is not a huge deal, but the later parts, especially, that you're going to see, and we actually start making functioning, it was a lot of actual copying, pasting, and modifying, because it basically is very much like the original options menu on the main menu, and we are making exceptions here about certain things that will not be on this menu, because one, it is smaller, we have less room to work with, and two, there are some things we don't want to change while you're in game. Game difficulty is one of those things that you'll see here. So that's definitely something that I really wish I could have shown at all here, but you'll get to see the gist of it and a lot of it that I could fit in this part. The options menu you will see, obviously, even with as much stuff as there is, this went by so much smoother and so much faster than the main menu did, and even the exit menu did. And that's because I knew what I was doing, for one, and two, as I'll mention, you know, I used a lot of the original code from the others and stuff, and just modified it for this menu type. The subs I mentioned earlier in my real-time commentary at the beginning of the video, Unfortunately, I didn't get to 2 yet. I decided to put it on hold for now until I get more options in there. And I think I mentioned that as well. You'll see that in the next part. This entire thing where you see me typing out these rectangles and stuff, I got sick of doing that, to be honest with you. And I bet some of you programmers are like, oh God, James, come on, what are you doing, man? Do it in a sub. Get a helper, man. And that's what I finally did. I actually just did that today. So, that's so sad, but it's true. So you'll definitely see that later on and how I did that. And it's definitely a lot easier and saves me from having to copy and paste and type all that stuff. Because really it was just becoming a pain. And like I said, there's a lot of other code optimizations and things that you'll see as we continue to come along, as I revisit things and as I start expanding upon them. There's even some on this one that you'll see of some reusing code and expanding on. So, it does happen. It's very common, and it's just something, like I mentioned before, it's something programmers like to do quite often. You can plan it out best you can on paper, and that's always the best way to do it, because it will save you a lot of time and effort in at least getting the basic idea of how it's supposed to work in your head and how it's supposed to be structured. But it's very, very common that you're going to have to make changes and ideas on the fly for one reason or another, or because you decide to add something later. That's probably the most common. Something new comes later and you got to add it into what you had originally and how you're going to fit that in and all that stuff. So there's a lot of optimization here that happens. Had a crash, go figure. So these GUI elements really came together, and especially these overlays. I'm very encouraged by this and what it can do, and I'm even more encouraged with what I'm working on now, which pretty much after this is the load save, and you guys are getting closer to it. But as you'll see and everything, I realized that I needed something else on top of that, and I just don't want to mention it right now because we're focused on this, so I'm not going to mention that right now. But you're not too far away. Probably the next vblog post. It could be in this one. I'm not sure yet. I mean, we're only on part 2. We're almost done with the options actually in this, so yeah, it could be in this part if we're lucky, which would be nice. Get rid of all this old footage of this old encoder, so I can get to the new one, which I hopefully should be able to use and speed up without Premiere having a nervous breakdown. So yeah, that's basically what we're on right now. And I know I say that too much, probably as much as stay tuned. Sorry about that. I guess some of the major points I can put out is, if you notice, as my videos have evolved and I continue this, my comments are everywhere and they are very extensive, and I don't have a problem writing comments now because I've gotten such a habit of doing it. My biggest problem is probably I don't read them. I don't stop and actually read them, and when you come back, I have to take a break or whatever from the project to deal with real life and other things that need to be done. And then I come back and I'm trying to remember what the heck did I do, and the comments are right there, and I'm just staring at the code like an oblivious moron, It's like, read your own comments, they're right there. It's great to get in the habit of writing it. It's awesome, especially if you're in a multi-project group. It's practically needed, unless you guys got like really great communication. It's easy to get in the habit of not doing comments either. And it is easy, like me, to be in the habit of doing comments and not read them. So that's something I need to work on for myself, that's for sure. So that's what happened with that, and that's what I need to get done. And I'm sorry, my mind just went, oh my God, because I just realized I missed my seminar for today on Monday. Oh well, 5 points. What can you do? So, anyway, we're coming to the end of the video, so I'll go ahead and wrap up. Just the options have really come together. You can see me right here doing what I talked about earlier about reusing it. I comment out a lot of stuff until I can change it, and I just pretty much copied it all. And and then I go ahead and make my modifications to it. I can't show it all, unfortunately. There's a lot of different work, and it wasn't that difficult, and it really turned out really, really well because I coded it right the first time. I knew it would work. I knew the layout here wasn't much different, and it actually worked out very, very, very well. There was some bugs, some errors that had to be worked with, but you'll see, especially a little bit more in the next part, how it worked out pretty good. So as always, please, 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 I just want to remind you guys before we go to the next part, part 3, please give me comments, give me feedback, you got something you'd like to add to the program, to the project, whether it's freaking code, whether it's ideas, whether it's resources, just like it shows on that overlay, send it my way. I will gladly take it, I will gladly put it on there, and I will gladly give you full credit. Any help you can provide, I don't mind. So it's not mandatory though. Coming up, part 3.